Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be working on my Dwarf Alberta Spruce. The spring growth is extending and it's time to pinch it back to keep the tree nice and compact and promote back budding on the branches. Here is a look at the tree. So you can see the spring growth is a nice bright green and the shoots are extending, and they're long enough now that I can go in and either scissor prune them or pinch them back by hand to make the tree more compact, so this new growth doesn't just keep extending out and the tree gets really bushy. I'm trying to keep this tree in a nice tight conical form. This pinching of this new growth will also promote back budding on the branches, so you have more shoots to choose from in the future for directional pruning. So I'll begin at the top of the tree, getting the apex sorted out, and work my way down to the lower branches. In this tree, in a spruce, the top is more apically dominant, so all the vigor of the tree goes up to the top. It just wants to grow tall. So you pinch the top more, and as you go down the tree, you pinch it less, leaving the lower shoots almost untouched. And that keeps the tree in shape, and it balances the vigor, so the top is less vigorous, and it kind of equalizes a balance of vigor throughout the tree. Here is a look at the top of the tree, and you can see there's multiple shoots growing upwards, and I only want to keep one as my apex, and the rest will become branches. If you look at a lot of spruce trees in nature, the upper branches angle upwards, and as you go down, about a third down the tree, they become horizontal, and as you go further down the tree, the branches start cascading or drooping. And that's typical of a lot of spruce trees in nature. It's not always the case, there's always exceptions, but that's generally how a spruce grows in nature. And that's the style I'm trying to achieve with this tree, is a natural kind of realistic miniature style. I have a visitor out here. Hello. Hello, Jonas. Hi, how are you? Aw, what a good kitty. So this is the father of the kitten I have. Call him Jonas. He's a very friendly fellow and he always visits me here in the greenhouse. Don't you? You always visit me. You're a friendly fellow. Just like your son. Yeah. Maybe I'll get you a little bit of food, eh? Would you like a little bit of food? Okay. Are you going to do some rolling around? Yeah, you're a good boy. A good boy. Okay. Here's a close-up look at the apex of the tree. So the idea behind the back budding is that the tree is full of energy right now. It stores energy all summer, and then in spring, those starches turn to sugars, and then it pushes out in spring. So if you pinch these tips, all that stored energy has to go somewhere, and by pinching the tips, you're stopping the growth on this branch. So it then backbuds along the branches, and sometimes it'll backbud on the older wood, which is always good. So in the apex, I'm looking for upright branches. So this one's too horizontal. If this branch was lowered down, I would keep the horizontal one and prune off the upper one. But because it's in the apex, I'm pruning off the lower branch. And I'll keep a bit of the growth. I could prune it right off, but I might as well keep a bit. Like that. And you can either pluck it with your hand or use scissors. I'm using scissors. I come in between the needles. So in this one, I'll prune about a third of the new tip off. To about there. So that makes it a little more compact, that branch. And then I've got to sort these branches out. I have a lot of branches, multiple branches going from the one spot. So I have to pick the branches that I want to keep. So in this case, I have another one directly above it that I'm going to prune away totally. I have a branch coming up the front. You can see it divides from 1 into 3. So I'll keep my most flowing 2 tips and prune off this one so it divides from 1 to 2, and that avoids bulges in your branches. And then I'll prune the growing tips back, again pruning about 1/3 off, like that. Above that branch I have another one that's kind of growing between these 2 branches, so I'll keep it. I'll just prune it back, and in this case I'll go a little harder because I'm right up in the apex. Off of that I've got 2 growing tips shooting up, and I have to pick which one I want as my leader. This one flows, it's the most upright and straight, so I'll keep that one, and the other one I'll prune back quite hard to create a branch instead of a leader, like that. Then I'll rotate it around. Here I have another branch that's the same height as the leader, so I'm going to prune it back quite hard to there. I have 2 branches pretty well coming out from the same spot here, so I need to pick which branch I keep and which one I get rid of. And in this case, this branch is directly above the one below it, and this one, there's nothing really below it. So, and this one is more radial, so I'm going to prune off this back one, like that. And then I'll prune back these growing tips. This one you can see is just starting to extend, so I'll come in and prune the tip off. I have another growing tip coming out the back here. I think that one looks good. I'll just prune the tip off, like that. So that's getting that apex sorted out. I kind of have bar branches here. I could prune this one away, just keeping this one. And I have this branch down lower, so I think I will. Otherwise, I'm going to get a ball here, thickening up in this section, and it just won't flow. You can see the trunk is quite skinny below it, and then because all these branches grew from one spot, I kind of got a lump there. So you want to minimize that by, selecting branches. So now I can go further down the tree, just pruning everything back and selecting branches. Some of these I'll just prune the tips off. This one is not growing from a good spot, so I'll get rid of it entirely. Like that. Prune this tip back. This one's a weak branch, so I'll just let that grow for now. And this pruning, you only really need to do it once a year, and for the rest of the year you just let the tree grow. So it's, doesn't take a lot of maintenance. You just got to do it at the right time. And the more vigorous the shoot, the more I prune it back. And the weaker shoots, I only basically remove the very growing tip. So this branch here is getting quite developed. I think this one is growing too upright, so I'm going to take it off like that. Then I'll prune these tips back. And then I'm looking for multiple branches. I think this one is getting off radial, so I'll remove this 3rd branch here, like that. So this branch, this is getting too far off the radial direction, so I'll prune that away. And let's see, on this branch, I've got a good branch leader there. This one can be cut back. This one can be cut back. I think that's pretty good on that branch. Here is a look at the tree so far. So you can see there's a bit more space between branches. The form is tighter, it's more conical shaped. So I'm getting down to these lower branches and I'll be pruning them less, kind of keeping my conical shape to the tree. So here's one that's sticking straight up. I'll get rid of that entirely. There's a stub from pruning here I can take back. Like that. Here's one growing straight up I'm going to remove. Prune these tips back. Just pruning the tips off. This is quite a low branch, so I'm just pruning the tips. Here, this one, I got 3. I'll take off the one that's not very flowing. And then I'll prune the tips back on the other one. Like that. Here again I have the branch divides from 1 to 3. The radial direction is here. I think I'll take this one off. It's the least radial. And then I can prune the tips back. So it's not always the center branch you take out. You always look for direction. Getting the most flowing branch you can. These branches are quite weak here, so I'm not even going to touch them. Here, I've got a lot of branches going from one spot here. So I think I'll take off this inner one. Like that. And also this one. That opens up sunlight to get to these lower branches. And I don't think I'll be touching these lower branches other than any vertical growth I can prune back. Like here. Take that one right off. I've got another 1 to 3 here. I'll take off this inner one. Yeah, these lower branches I won't be pinching the tips. But I will sort out the structure if it's dividing from 1 to 3. So I'll take off this inner one because I have another branch back here. Here I've got 1 to 3. I'll take this one off because I have a branch back here. Kind of creating staggered branching. This part of this branch is sweeping over, growing directly above this other branch, so I'll take it off. That's all looking good. Here I have another branch from 1 to 3. And I think I've got 2 branches coming from one spot, and I have this lower branch, and this one's directly above it, so I'll take this one off. It's not very radial either. Like that. That gets lots of light down here. This branch has to be pruned back. I'll just take the tip off this one. Yeah, I think that might be it. Let's have a look at the tree now. Here is a look at what I took off the tree today. So quite a bit of branch selection and a lot of growing tips, just pinching the tips out. You can't solve every problem with your tree in one pruning. There'll be new, as I said, it should back bud. There'll be new branches grow in, and there can be more selection in the future. Yeah, so don't be in a rush. Just try and make steady progress on your trees, and slowly over the years they'll get better and better. Here's a look at the tree now. So I'll rotate it around. I haven't picked a front for the tree yet. So coming around to the right hand side, the back, the left hand side, and back to a possible front. I'll show you some of the back budding that's happening already. So up here you can see a new shoot that's grown in, and then down below on the trunk here there's also a new little shoot here that's growing in off the old wood. So there's always the potential of back budding, especially if you keep your tree nice and healthy. And yeah, so that's all I have to do for this tree for the year. The rest of the year I just water it, feed it, and let it grow. And I should get all kinds of new back buds. It'll fill out and become quite dense. And then maybe towards fall or in spring, I can prune it once again. I'm very happy with the progress of this tree. I think it looks like a spruce you would see in nature. If you want to go back in time and see what the spruce looked like when I first got it, I have a link to the playlist for this tree in the description below. So that is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.